Thank you for tuning into our seller interview series. Up today, we've got an Amazon FBA, Merch by Amazon, and e-commerce business for sale in the pets and outdoors niche. Created in June of 2015, this business makes $5,139 per month in net profit, and the listing number for the site is 41069. We do these interviews to give potential buyers more information about both the seller and the sites they're looking to purchase. We hope these insights are helpful for you in making a buying decision. We've got the seller with us today to go through the business and cover everything from niche selection to traffic and monetization. How are you doing, Isaiah?
Doing well. Thank you for having me.
It's my pleasure. Where are you today?
From Maine.
From Maine. Is it nice and cold up there today? Or I don't know how the summer weather is up there. I guess I should
pretty
preface that with.
It's about 75 degrees out. Probably going to hold that all. We have nice summers.
Ooh, that sounds perfect. I'm down in Florida where the summer is, you're lucky if it's below 100 degrees.
Yeah.
So before we dive into the questions that I have for you today, I just want to run through the quick summary of the business. Again, it was built in June of 2015, has a monthly revenue of $14,317, expenses of $9,178 to make for a net profit of $5,139, and this is built on a 12-month average. Included in the sale of this business are the 4 domains, social media accounts, Amazon seller account, includes the FBA account and a Merch by Amazon account with 70 active designs approved for 500 designs, 2 email lists, MailChimp account, and a pending trademark application. Inventory is not normally included in the list price, but further details can be provided to active depositors. Isaiah, can you tell us a little bit about your background in building and running online businesses?
Sure. This was more or less my first go at it, but I had a good learning process as I built the business up. I started with going to buy things off clearance racks and everything. It's a pretty typical story of any Amazon seller that's built up. You hear this a lot. So I started with going to buy clearance stuff and then sending into Amazon to try to resell it for a higher price. And I did that for a little while, but I quickly decided that I didn't like going store to store to store and to try to find these deals. And that's ultimately not repeatable. You're very relying on things, finding a new item all the time that can sell for a higher margin. So I decided to go into private label, where I would go and source my own items, put my own brand on it, and try my hand at building that brand up into something that could be more profitable, that I could repeat over and over again. And that's when it really started to work well for me. It simplified the whole process. I went from going to a different store every day, trying to find a deal, to talking with China once a week to get what I needed. So everything suddenly got very automated and very simple to run. And that's probably around the June 2015 mark where I started doing that. I started with just a basic. I tend to focus on niches that I could relate to. The idea of getting into the pet niche was sort of very natural to me, and I've always been into the outdoors stuff, so getting into the sort of sports and outdoors was very natural for me. It made it easy to focus on what products to find and what brands to build.
So you said that this is your first really go at an online business, correct?
Yes.
How did you learn everything that you needed to learn in order to run this business?
A lot of YouTube, a lot of mistakes, I would say, that I made, small mistakes, but I learned from them and I kept on trucking. I had the small advantage of starting with Amazon when I did, and I think it was a bit easier than it is now. The mistakes, that you could make a small mistake and it really wouldn't impact your business that much and you could move on. Nowadays, it can be a little bit more competitive to start an Amazon business, so those little mistakes might show themselves a little bit more than they did back then. So I was allowed a little bit more of a learning curve, I think, when I started, than somebody might be now. And I just kind of went and learned from my mistakes, and then I would visit forums and YouTube channels and stuff that were on point and just learn from those.
You mentioned mistakes, and we'll get to those in a couple minutes. I want to talk a little bit about why it's harder to get into Amazon now. Do you feel it's just because there's more competition, the platform is more open, or is there something with Amazon algorithm or something?
Certainly there's a lot of speculation with Amazon's algorithm. They do change that, and you sort of learn to absorb those hits. I don't think that's so much it. I think it's that there's just more competition now when you're starting. So to establish a new product, it's a little bit more difficult than it was because there's more competition. So you have to pick your products a little bit better. than you had to before. You have to put a lot more care into your sales copy on the listing itself and how the listing's designed, the photos and that sort of stuff. Then before, you could put up a listing with a bad photo and copy that you put almost no thought into, and it would probably sell. Now you'll have other sellers who are just doing the same thing as you, but better. And if you're not competing well, you won't do well. So I don't think it's really the algorithm so much. I mean, if you visit the forums and you do that, a lot of people, they tend to say that, oh, Amazon changed the review process or they changed their algorithm and that's why I'm not successful. And I don't think that's really that true unless you were cheating or something from the onset. It's just that there's more competition and people are putting a lot more effort into selling their goods on Amazon than they were before. So you have to step up your game to do well. And I had the advantage of sort of learning that because I was able to do just okay on my listings and still have some money coming in from that so that I could get better and better and better at it. Whereas now you almost have to do really awesome on your listings right off the bat. You have to do well right off the bat for that product to start selling well.
So you had that advantage, like you mentioned, of starting in 2015 versus now when there was less competition and you could be afforded more mistakes. So presumably, since you're still around, you are in a really good spot. And obviously the business is listed for 6 figures for sale. So the business must be doing really, really well. With that being said, why are you selling the business?
Well, it would allow me to sort of focus and consolidate. So, and oddly enough, I've thought about this, and if I were going to buy an Amazon business, it sort of allows the buyer the same sort of freedoms. So I set up my business and I have my daily routine and I go and selling it allows me to consolidate my funds and maybe diversify a little bit. So right now I have inventory and I have expenses. So I have sort of revolving funds that go into the business and that's great. I want to diversify. So I want to take the money from the sale and maybe put something into real estate and then also start a new Amazon business that I could, or a new e-commerce business with some of that. So by selling it and starting over, in a sense, it lets me diversify. And then as a buyer coming in, it lets them take the best parts of the business and grow those, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Whereas I've kind of tied myself into, some products that I just emotionally can't let go or monthly expenses that I probably don't need, I'm a software junkie. So it just allows me to sort of reset and then do things after now that I've learned from all my mistakes. Like it allows me to reset, do things the most profitable way with my next business and diversify a little bit.
So it sounds like you just kind of want to sell the business so that you can start over, free up your time and start a new business, buy real estate and such.
Yeah, so it would allow me to start a new business. I don't want to completely leave e-commerce because I really like it, but it would allow me to start over with a new e-commerce business and diversify my assets a little bit, whereas right now it's mostly tied into Amazon.
You mentioned that you are particularly attached to a couple of your products, and you have 15, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Are these products designed by you, or do you outsource the designing or something like that?
When a design was needed, I did the design, and nothing so formal as like a CAD packet or something, but I would often sketch out the design I wanted and then work with the manufacturer through a couple samples or something like that to get exactly what I wanted. A good example of that, I can't give you an example. So, So when a design was needed, now, so if the product is relatively basic, then it may just be a brand that I'm putting on there. And then the marketing process is completely just building that brand up. But I like to take what some might consider as more of a common product and put my own spin on it. So usually that means making a small sketch for the manufacturer and working with them through the sample process to get exactly what I want in both quality and design.
On your 15 products, you have a pending trademark application on one of your products, correct?
Correct. And actually that has gone through.
It's gone through. So now it's a registered trademark.
Yeah.
So Isaiah, you have a registered trademark now. You applied for it 6 months ago and it's been pushed through now. Why do you feel now was the right time to apply for that?
So to be part of the new Amazon brand registry, which is important to have because it protects your assets, it protects your brand, protects your product listings from other people getting onto those listings and selling fraudulent products, let's say. But to be part of that brand registry program, you have to have a registered trademark. And you can't just have an application in, it has to be a completed trademark. And that wasn't the case a year ago. You could have applied for brand registry and all you had to do was submit like a photo of your product and provide maybe a website link, and that would be enough. Now the brand registry is requiring a trademark. And beyond the protection, they've started to add in little benefits. You can make a storefront for that brand. You can be part of the early reviewer program to help with getting reviews on newer products coming in. So it's a process. It's not terribly that difficult to get a trademark started, but it is a process to get it completed. So that there's definitely some value in that. That's done on one of the brands.
How long ago were you approved for the program?
For the brand registry program?
Yes, sir.
So the outdoor brand is the trademarked brand. That was already part of the old brand registry program. And some folks are being migrated up to the new program without doing anything. But in true sort of Amazon fashion, some people will have to reapply. So it's sort of it's already part of the brand registry program, and it has been for about a year. But to sort of solidify that it will stay into that program and continue to get the protection that program offers, that trademark's done. So there's no worries there.
How has being in that program impacted your sales? Have you noticed anything significant from that?
No, but in a way that's good. So the program helps, as I said, protect you from, we call them hijackers. They're other sellers, typically not from the US, that will come in and just jump on your listing and claim to be selling the same product. And it's usually a fraudulent product or something that's kind of just similar. And they use your popularity to sell their product. And sometimes they don't even ship anything to the customer. They're just trying to take people's money. And obviously that's bad. Even if they're selling a similar product, that's bad because you have lost control over that customer experience. And that person could either rip somebody off, or they could send a product that has a defect in it. And then when the customer complains, they don't even get to complain to you. You never even know that that customer was unhappy, and it will ultimately hurt your credibility as a brand, hurt the listing if they leave a bad review or something. So it's important to get those people off your listing and to keep them off your listing. So I haven't seen a bump in revenue from being part of that program, but in a way that's good because I would have seen a downtick in revenue, I think, if I had people that were always getting onto my listings and everything. So I've avoided a lot of the problems that some other people have had by being part of that program.
Yeah, that makes sense. You're not necessarily seeing a significant increase in sales, but on the flip side, it's preventing you getting your brand weaker by people coming in and listing quote unquote fake products and whatnot. And that totally makes sense. Is there much that you have to do to stay in the program, or once you're in, is it just protection with no effort?
Well, you still have to, it gives you leverage. So I've still had a couple people jump on my listing, but it was easy to get them off because I was part of this program. So, and that's part of my work day is I'll check my listings for stuff like this. So Amazon's getting better at it, at taking people seriously when you call and you say, hey, this person's on my listing. They're not selling my product. They're selling some fraudulent product. They're getting better at that. But you need to have your ducks in a row, and you need to be able to say, well, I'm part of the brand registry. I'm the brand owner, and this person is not the brand owner. You can trust me when I say I've never sold him anything to resell. So you can't be selling products that are real, and you have to have the leverage of the brand registry program. It's not difficult to stay in, but there is every bit of possibility that if you didn't do a trademark application and you were part of the program before, eventually they'll kick you off the program until you get that trademark in. So it was important to get that done. So as I said, a lot of the people that seem to be grandfathered in, if you were part of the brand registry before, they made these new requirements for the trademark. But not everybody's getting grandfathered in. It's kind of odd. And I say that's very synonymous of Amazon. Some people will get just automatically upgraded and some people won't. And there's really no rhyme or reason to it. But the point is even if they do say, hey, you got to get a trademark in, it would be a 3-minute fix. You could just say, yeah, I have that already. Here's the serial number.
When the business was started in June of 2015, what was the trajectory of the business within the first few weeks or months?
So I want to say I put June of 2015, and that's probably right. But the way I started this business was, it wasn't an LLC. It wasn't like an official company. It was sort of like how I would have run an eBay business a long time ago. I was just kind of finding stuff that that I think I could make a profit out of, and I was sending it into Amazon and having them sell it. So it started as very much a hobby. So it's hard for me to nail down an exact date of when I started doing it. But when I went to private label, that's when I started to take it seriously as like its own entity, its own business. So the trajectory started as it was no trajectory other than I wanted to make more money. So I would just go and buy more and more clearance goods, more and more discounted items that I could send in. And I was just kept trying to build that up. And that's why private label made more sense, because that's doing something like that where you go buy clearance items to resell a higher amount isn't repeatable. So every month you're looking for more items that can make you money, more items to send in. And it's that to maintain that over a length of time is a difficult prospect. So in the beginning, the trajectory was, hey, can I make a couple of bucks extra every month? I guess is my point. And then I made enough where it started to let me think about maybe I should do my own designs and I can make this actually a business. I think my initial goal was to make $10,000 a month in revenue, and I had to move to private label to really make that happen.
So getting to those mistakes that were mentioned earlier, what happened when building the business that you would classify as a mistake?
Well, the very first product I ordered 300 of them, which is nothing when you're ordering private label. That could be considered a sample order, So I ordered 300 of them, didn't really do the right kind of product research. So I had gone and I saw, hey, look, these are selling for X amount of dollars. I think I can get these and I can make my own brand and it would be awesome. So I got 300 of these products. I overpaid for them because I didn't understand really that how to work a deal down or how to negotiate properly with China. So I overpaid for these items. I didn't realize the complexity of selling those products without spending a ton of money to sell them on Amazon. So I had these products come in. I had 300 of them, and I think I still have about 100 of them left at my house. So I didn't realize how hard it would be or could be to get something going, and from a zero standpoint. So I guess that could be boiled down to poor negotiation with my supplier in that case, and poor product choice, really, because there was a lot of competition for that. If I had done better at product choice or better at negotiation, that product might have done all right. Because if I didn't overpay for the product, I would have had more I could throw at it for advertising and still make decent margins. Or if I had done a better job picking the product, I might have had less dollars that I had to put into advertising and everything because it would have just sold like organically.
Yeah, that makes sense. Are there any other mistakes that were made?
It's stuff like that. So it's hard to nail. I've never had like one catastrophic mistake. So, but I make mistakes all the time, even now. My biggest mistake, like I said earlier, I'm a kind of a software junkie. So it's just me running this business. So if somebody comes to me via email or on one of the forums that I'm on, and they say, hey, check out this software. It can automate this, this, and this. I'm going to check it out. And I'm a pretty easy sell on something like that. So a lot of the mistakes I make now, they're really minor, but it's wasted money just the same. And I'll sign up for something that costs like $100 a month or something like that because it promises to automate these aspects. And then ultimately I find out I could have just done that better myself with about the same amount of time that it took to set up this software or something. So I'll cancel it. So it doesn't sound like a lot, but you waste $50 here, $100 there, and those can impact your margins. And I consider that it's wasted. So it's a mistake.
Yeah, that's certainly unfortunate when you look at it and think, okay, well, I could have made a little more money. But on the flip side, this was your first business, and here you are at a great point with the business, and you haven't had any catastrophic, as you said, mistake where, okay, well, this business is ruined. The business has no real lasting consequence from those small mistakes. And to me, that seems like a plus because you, as a new entrepreneur, you learned from these. You won't make similar mistakes. And they weren't even mistakes that had lasting consequences, if that makes sense. At least that's how I see it.
Yeah. So I think my mistakes all lend themselves to inefficiency. So it really is driven from me trying to make it more efficient, which is sort of funny. But almost everything I waste money on, we'll say, is an effort to make the whole business less reliant on me personally, as well, or any person. I want it to be more automated and flow easier. And if I'm wasting money, it's because I tried something that was too automated or something like that. A lot of times these softwares, it's just better to do it yourself. It really doesn't take a whole lot extra time than setting up a lot of this stuff. So I think my mistakes are small, but they all lend themselves to inefficiency.
So getting to the sales themselves, do you know where the traffic is coming from? Do you know if it's organic or social media or something like that?
Well, certainly some of it comes from social media, especially I guess both niches have pretty good following in that regard. With the outdoor niche, the social following is smaller in terms of likes on Facebook, but it's a lot more active, and I have a good relationship with a lot of the people on there. So I have one world-class outdoor sports that I'm sort of loosely sponsoring, and he sent me a lot of traffic. But I think that a lot of the traffic, certainly most of it, comes from Amazon's internal advertising, the pay-per-click. And that's because it's the easiest one to do. So if anybody's tried pay-per-click advertising, that's easily the largest learning curve for me out of this whole ordeal. And Amazon's pay-per-click is simplified, and that's good as far as learning curve goes. It may not be as lucrative. Like if you use Facebook advertising or something like that, you might be able to really nail down your customer base a little bit better than you can with the Amazon's pay-per-click. But with Amazon, you can get it set up and going in 5 minutes and do okay with it. Where if you try that sort of method on Facebook, you'll just end up wasting a lot of money. So definitely most of my traffic comes directly from Amazon, and I push the traffic there with their pay-per-click. But once you get up in the rankings with Amazon, you'll get a lot of sales organically, because when people go to shop on Amazon, people want to buy something online, they often will just search right on Amazon.
Have you done anything with other advertising methods, let's say Facebook ads or Google AdWords or something like that?
I haven't tried Google AdWords. I've dabbled in YouTube, which I guess is similar. It's kind of the same thing. Amazon pay-per-click is easily the one I use. I mean, if you were to say what advertising platform you use, I would say Amazon pay-per-click. But I have tried Facebook, and I have tried Reddit advertising. I've tried Twitter advertising a little bit, and I've had some success with Facebook advertising. That one has such a big learning curve because I was so used to the pay-per-click setup that Amazon had. And I didn't really use Facebook to drive sales directly. I used Facebook advertising to try to build email lists, things like that. So that's what I use Facebook for, to direct advertising to send people directly to the listing, pretty much exclusively Amazon.
Have you built any large email lists?
Define large. For me, yes. So that's not my specialty. I'm getting better at it, but that's a relatively new thing I'm trying to learn. I haven't tried to build email lists this whole time. It's probably in the last 6-7 months that I've actively tried to build an email list. And I got my the pet niche email list up to 600-700 folks right now, very targeted. So, and that was sort of hard won through product giveaways and directly focusing on them with that Facebook advertising. And then I have probably 2 or 3, I haven't looked at it in a little while, probably 200 or 300 for the outdoor sports niche already set up on there. And that's done through MailChimp and a combination of Facebook advertising, product giveaways, landing pages. So the websites I have are around these niches are really there to help me build these lists. So I kind of made them all at the same time when I was trying to build up the email lists. So I use those for their landing pages, basically, and send people there, capture their email. And I haven't really used email marketing at all yet. This was all in the plan for the future. Once I got a good list going, I could start using more traditional email marketing. I haven't really dabbled in that yet. I'm just trying to build a list themselves.
So that's a good opportunity for a potential buyer to come in who is proficient with email marketing, because you already have 600-700 people who are very targeted for that niche, and 200-300 that are very targeted for the other niche. And so that could be a good opportunity for someone who's proficient in those skills.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, it's sort of intimidating because it's another whole thing for me to get good at. And that's fine. But where I have my current advertising working, there's a lot of things that you have to get good at. And I'm kind of still trying to get really good at the advertising part to drive the costs way down and everything. So definitely the email list is a back burner project for me, but it would be awesome if I were a new person coming in, buying an Amazon business, and it came with that, that would be really cool, because the landscape in Amazon had really changed when they're really sensitive about how you get reviews. And it used to be that you could go and there were like product giveaway sites. And if you had a new product, you could list them on these sites and you'd basically give somebody a product. And the understanding was that they'd give you a review. And even for people doing it honestly, I would only ask for honest reviews and everything. But they don't let you do that anymore. And people who just try to do that are really risking their account or their listing getting pulled. So email list is how it's done now. You send out, if you want to get a sale going or something like that, you want to have people that you interacted with and, send out an email and say, hey, this is on sale now, want to give it a try. So that is really valuable now. It wasn't so much 2 years ago, but now really valuable to have a list of folks that you can email out.
Are there any other big opportunities for growth that you see that a potential buyer could come in and try to work on?
Oh, yeah. So that's sort of what I meant with before when I was saying that I want to start over because I want to sort of consolidate and do everything right the first time. A new buyer coming in could take and build off the products that are the most profitable. And so they could almost cherry pick the good products, the good processes that I have, and then build off of those, which is what I'm doing too. But they would have the luxury of doing it without the little mistakes that I've made along the way. So without going into like crazy detail on the individual products, I already have 3, 4, 5 new products coming in, usually variations of what was already successful. But those are baby products right now, meaning I have one that I haven't even posted images for yet, so it hasn't sold anything. I just like this past week, sent the initial shipment into Amazon, and I expect the margins on that to be great, and I expect it to sell great. I have 3 new color variations of another product that I have that has proven very successful. It has 40-50% margins, and these new color variations, I don't see any reason why they wouldn't be as successful. And again, those aren't even sent in yet. They're going through the hazmat review process right now. So these are very new products. And I have a few products I started last month. It was after I had actually listed with Empire Flippers. So just in what I've set up, there's opportunity to potentially double the sales just in what I've set up. But if the new buyer were to stick to the specific niches that I already started to build, it should be pretty easy to integrate many more products that are on theme. My choking point is typically money. So for me to bring in a brand new product, it's usually somewhere in the vicinity of $10,000. And that's my choking point. I can't do that for all these products, all these ideas that I have. I can only do one at a time. And bring a new product in usually takes 3 to 6 months from start to finish, because you're getting samples from the supplier, you're correcting the samples, having another sample sent, and all this back and forth. And then the initial shipment usually takes a month or two. So you're talking 3 to 6 months to bring in a new product and about $10,000. I mean, that's kind of like a safe number and time to think about. So for a new buyer with fresh resources, and this would really provide a good foundation for them, where I have to maintain these products. And then for me to come out with a new product, it's a slow process for me because I have to come up with the money. I live off this too. I don't have a full-time job, so I have to, money's definitely a choking point for me, and time is a choking point for me. And I think both of those would be solved with like somebody coming in fresh. So does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes total sense. I mean, money and time are very valuable, limited resources. Yeah, that makes total sense. So that's some opportunity. Another potential one could be, well, it depends on your answer. What current markets are you selling in on Amazon? Meaning, are you only in the US or are you outside of the US?
So that's a good point. So I'm only in the US. Other than Amazon, I could sell to other countries. Amazon has, I don't know if it's by default. No, I signed up for it years ago, so they might just do it by default now when you start a new account. But like somebody from Germany, let's say, can order my product and Amazon will ship it overseas to them. But I'm only in the US market. So there's certainly opportunity to open up in some of the other markets that are gaining steam, like Germany is one of them. Canada would be an easy one to do, obviously, because of the proximity. Mexico's getting bigger. So there's definitely opportunity there. And trust me, that's on the horizon for me to do something like that. And again, for somebody coming in fresh with fresh resources, that might be an easier prospect for them than it is for me. Because when I look at something like that, I'm like, oh, geez, I have to buy another shipment of these? Can I supply the demand that may come? And I don't know what I have if I could, but somebody coming in with fresh resources, it could be really easy for them to do something like that. And really, the nice thing about some of these newer markets is that you can still get almost like going back in time in the US, and you can get a lot of, like back in 2014, 2015, you could just post a product without much effort and you'd start getting sales. And going to some of these newer markets, it's kind of like going back in time, and you can do that. You can just post a product and get some organic sales right off the bat, which is just awesome when you're starting a new listing.
It sounds like this business has a lot of different opportunities for even more growth in addition to just maintaining it, because maintaining the business would still be a steady, about $5,000, $6,000 per month in net profit. Then that's only with maintaining rather than growing it like we've been talking about. But in order to maintain it, in order to just keep it as it is, not talking about more work for potential opportunities, how much work do you do on the business week to week that a new buyer would have to do to purely maintain?
So this is interesting because I think I can be some of the problem when it comes to the business. So I tend to tinker with it, and it almost does better when I leave it alone. For example, my family and I went camping for 2 weeks just recently. We just got back this past week, and I didn't even look at it the 2 weeks. There was nothing for me. I checked my phone to see if there was any customer questions a couple times during the week. There wasn't any. And when I got back, my sales were beyond where they had been the previous 2 weeks. So the only thing that I would need to do is make sure there's enough inventory at Amazon so that they can be sent out. And for me, the way I have it set up is I have the inventory sent to my house because I like to check the quality and make sure the packaging is done right and everything like that. And then I send out usually a month's worth at a time to Amazon just because it saves a little on warehousing costs. So that's really all I would have to do. So I have the Amazon app on my phone. If a customer asks a question, it comes to my phone. I usually answer that right away. I might get 2 questions a week, maybe. I don't get a lot. Once a month, I would have to take 3 or 4 hours and package up goods, which are usually prepackaged. I'm just kind of checking them, but labeling them and shipping them out with UPS. And might spend a couple of hours every couple of weeks going through the advertising and trying to reduce the costs there because it tends to creep up. So, you could really get away with only doing this a couple hours a week on average, or you could do it, 2 full working days a month and have the same effect. It would be pretty simple. And that's, if you're just maintaining, you could almost get away doing it. It's almost fully automated because you could take your products, they come in from China. If somebody really wanted to, they could have China send them right to Amazon. And a lot of people do that. I just like to look at the quality, make sure the packaging is right, and maintain some control over my inventory. But some people send it right to Amazon. You could certainly set it up that way without too much effort. And that would save on some operating costs too. You wouldn't have to ship it to your house first. So you could almost do nothing with it. It's almost fully automated with the products that it has. That's the beauty of the FBA, really. The work to get it there is done already.
Would the suppliers in China be open to shipping directly to Amazon? Have you spoken with them about that before?
I haven't. I just know that a lot of people do it that way. And I know from working with them, they don't care where they're shipping it. So that wouldn't really rely on your supplier so much as you just have to get a forwarder in the U.S. So when it comes into port at the U.S., I use another company, which is a forwarding company. So they take those goods when they come in, and right now they set up shipment to my house, or I call it my home warehouse. So they'll get the stuff in whatever port it comes in, New York or whatever, and it will bring it to my house. But I could just as easily ask them to, relabel it for FBA packages, and send it right in to Amazon. I know a lot of people do it. I don't like that. I like to maintain some control over the process. And a couple of my items are bundle items. So I get shipments from 2 separate suppliers in China, and I'll bundle them physically on my own here. And I'm including that when I say I take 3-4 hours to package stuff up, once or twice a month. That's part of that. That's primarily why it takes that long. I have to take 2 items, consolidate them into one. But I could just as easily have China do that for me. I have inquired about that. It was a while ago. And I have one product that I really like. I have a good relationship with. And I could easily have this product bundled in China just fine, but I would have just had to go with one of the two suppliers, and I have good relationships with both of them, and I didn't want to break that. So I just decided to just keep bundling them at home just because I like the people I'm working with.
Yeah, I understand your reason for not doing it like that. On the other hand, though, if a potential buyer really wanted to make this quote unquote very automated, then that would be one of the final steps toward making this a fully automated business.
Yeah, it'd be really quite easy. You just have to talk with one of the two suppliers. I have in mind which one I would go to. So I just go to the one supplier and say, hey, can you get this other piece for me? Put it together and ship it out. It might influence the price a little bit, but it's surprising how small price increase something like that is. And it may even drop it. Who knows? They might be able to get a better deal on that second item, or you might save the money in the shipping because you're shipping them together. So overall, it might end up dropping the price. Like I said, I'm kind of like a loyalist. So once I find somebody I like working with, I just tend to stay with them.
Another big opportunity for growth nowadays is blogging and adding content to the site. Is that something that you currently do, or would that be listed as an opportunity for a potential buyer?
Certainly an opportunity, especially if they're good at it. So I haven't given much into the formation of the websites, like the actual URLs, and there's Shopify stores right now. Like I said, I've used those primarily as landing pages. So if somebody were to Google my products or something, they'd be able to find some kind of brand presence. And I've used them to help build my email list. That's all I've really used them for. So the money made is almost entirely on FBA. I think I've sold a handful of products on my Shopify sites, and I really haven't made any money on them because they're usually discounted to cost or product giveaways to just build that email list. So if somebody wanted to start building that, not a ton of hits on those, but just from people searching, presumably from just searching my business name that they found on Amazon, they found the website. So if somebody wanted to start building that up, there's definitely some opportunity there. Definitely. And it's just not a huge part of my skill set, so I've avoided it, which is probably not the best route. But if somebody's naturally good at that, or if they're ambitious and they're starting off and they want to do that, definitely some good opportunity there. And not only that, if you could successfully make a Shopify store marginally profitable along with the Amazon sales, that's the dream right there, because then you've diversified yourself a little bit. And so if Amazon were to tell you can't sell that product anymore because it's a hazmat product now or whatever, then you'd be fine. You'd have another means of selling. You're not dead in the water. So that could be really good. And that's a really good opportunity for anybody coming in.
You're in the pet niche as well as the outdoor niche. Are there any special skills or requirements required for someone who's not familiar with these niches? You're in them because you have a lot of experience with them. You know, you've had pets your whole life and obviously some experience with the outdoors activities that you cater to. But for someone who's looking at the business, loves the numbers, loves the FBA business model, but doesn't have much experience in the pet or outdoor niches, is there any skills that they would need to learn?
No. Nothing with the products themselves. I got into the pet niche because I've always had dogs and I love my dogs, and it seemed natural. You know, everybody tells you pets are a huge market, but the products I'm selling in the pet niche are something I would have never thought of using with my animals. It's just something that started to sell and I hung on to it. The outdoor niche, I have people that are buying my products for completely different reasons than I would have ever fathomed. And they're actually my main customers now. So I used it for specific outdoor activities. That was my thought when I made the product. That was my thought when I got into it. And they're using it for something completely different. And I think that's awesome. I know nothing about what they're using it for, and it doesn't really matter. I don't think you need much. It was just helpful for me to focus, because when you look at Amazon as a whole, when you're trying to choose a product, there's thousands of different areas you could go in. Thousands of different, and if you're not focused on one particular area, you'll end up with a bunch of just little products all over the place. And I wanted to focus on a specific brand, or in this case, two brands. And it just helps me when I'm looking for a new product to search within a small category. So I stuck with something I was interested in, but really, and that made it easy for me to stay in a category. But really, you could sell anything and be fine with it. Yeah, I don't think you need any experience with the actual products themselves.
We're pushing over our time here. We're almost over our limit, but I have a couple questions for you in terms of structuring a deal with a potential buyer. Would you commit to a non-compete?
Yeah. As I said, I want to start another business, possibly on Amazon, and I wouldn't want to be back and I want to do a whole new thing. So yes, I'm fine with a non-compete.
And how much support are you willing to offer buyers?
That's totally negotiable. I've mused over this for a little while because this came up on the initial sort of application that I submitted to you guys. And it would come down to what they need, how simple the deal is. I'd be willing to do anything from 30 days support just to make it an easy transition if they know what they're doing, all the way to 6 months to a year of helping them order the stuff from China or making a warm transfer from supplier or helping them with that import process. I'm fine with all that. So I don't even mind, in some respects, the idea of even maintaining part of the business to keep it more automated for them would be okay with me. We'd have to work out a deal on that. But so if I were to continue to bundle stuff here at my house for them for at least a little while until they were able to find maybe a company to do that, if they wanted to even still do that, I'd be fine with that. If they wanted me to stay on and answer customer inquiries that come in because I'm familiar with the products for a given amount of time, I'm fine with that. And if you need a time frame, I would say up to 6 months worth of, call it support, I guess, tech support or business support. I'm fine with that. But it's negotiable. If they feel needing more and it will help close the deal, then I'm open to whatever they need.
Are you open to conversations about other payment methods? Obviously, what we want is for someone to come in and say, here's 100% cash offer of what you're looking for. But, unfortunately, sometimes that's not how it works. Would you be open to conversations, to negotiations about other payment offers?
Yeah, so I would want most of it up front, I think. But so I don't know if I'd be interested in a long-term financing deal. That's something that with nothing up front or something like that. But I would certainly be open to 3/4, 80% of the upfront cash and then some kind of deal for the remaining portion of it. I'd be okay with that. So, pretty open to any kind of deal. But the initial influx of cash is part of my motivation. So to sell. So spreading it out too thin, wouldn't appeal to me. But
you're selling the business. You want to, like you said, you want to put it behind you and start new things. You don't want this to be a long, drawn-out process.
Right.
That totally makes sense, but being able to negotiate that is never a bad thing. So I have one final question for you. And before we get to that, though, I want to go through the quick summary of the business again. It was built in June of 2015, has a monthly revenue of $14,317, expenses of $9,178 to make for a net profit of $5,139, and this is built on a 12-month average. Included in the sale of this business are the 4 domains, social media accounts, Amazon seller account, which includes the FBA account and a Merch by Amazon account with 70 active designs approved for 500 designs, 2 email lists, MailChimp account, an approved trademark application. Inventory is not normally included in the list price, but further details can be provided to active depositors. Isaiah, thank you for taking the time today. It was a pleasure chatting with you. Before I let you go, what is your best 30-second pitch on why someone should purchase this business?
So for anybody getting started in Amazon, starting out is nowadays can be very difficult because of the nature of the market now. It's very competitive. It's hard to find products that will sell well organically, even with advertising. So this is an established couple of brands that already have the hard part done, and they already have a track record of sales that you almost need to do nothing with to continue on. You could build off these very easily. There's a lot of potential for growth. I already have in the pipeline, already set up, ready to go, 4 or 5 products that are poised to hit the market that you won't have to do anything with, and they should start picking up, and I'll continue to work on those so they'll get better and better. So right there's some immediate growth for you if you decide to get this. That should add a fair amount to the revenue yearly. Beyond that, these are easy niches to sort of build off of. I can't see how anybody would have any problem making a decent amount of money with this. In fact, the inventory that I have on hand, I have about 6 months worth of inventory, which isn't included in the sales price currently, but it's something that we could work out. And just that inventory should get you close to your initial, the sales price of the business. So it's not a very risky business to buy. It's going to hold its monthly revenue, and you won't have to do much to just get your money back on the initial investment. And then to build off that, it would be really easy.
It certainly sounds like a business with plenty of opportunities for growth. And even if you, like we said earlier, even if you don't want to focus on the growth and you just want to maintain it, like you said, it's a steady paycheck that won't take you many months to get back your investment.
Oh, yeah, you could definitely do this while working full time. I did it for a little while working full time. And the advantage to that is you could take all of the profit and roll it right back into the company and really put it towards growth. Whereas I have to use some of that for my living expenses. And one thing I keep forgetting about, and because it's actually a relatively new thing for me, but the merch account by Amazon, so that's like t-shirts and printed goods from Amazon. And I don't make a ton of money on that. Even with 70 designs, I think it's like $30 or $40 a month I make off that. But the point there isn't the money that I'm making. It took about 8 months just to get it approved for 500 designs. So there's definitely value in that, just having that account. And that's completely passive. So you make your design, which you can do yourself, or you can go on Fiverr or something and have somebody make a t-shirt design for you. You put it on. Once you've posted it, it's completely passive. There's no inventory to deal with. There's no returns to deal with. There's nothing to deal with. All you do is post a design, and then you get paid out a royalty, which you set a price. So the royalty is a percentage. And it just sits there and makes money for you. So the more designs you pump into it, the more you'll get. It took me 3 months to get approved for 10 designs. And then you have to have like proven sales and they keep raising the limit of designs you can have. And now I'm at 500. So that was kind of my goal, because they don't really usually go over 500. So there's some really good value there, and it's completely passive. And you could have a VA or something run that for you just by, you could go on Fiverr and say, hey, make me a design, and then go onto my Amazon merch account and post design, do 2 a week or something. You could do something like that and just completely wash your hands of it and just have, money come in every month that you're not even thinking about. So there's definitely value there, and I keep forgetting about it because it's a new thing for me and it's not making a ton of money. But when I'm bored, sometimes I'll work on designs and post them up there. And that is a desirable aspect of this business, which is sort of in the shadows.
And it's a really cool opportunity for passive income.
Definitely. And you can't just go sign up for it and start doing it. It takes a lot of time. So that $30, $40 a month represents about 8 months worth of effort. So, and that's all the hard part. So now all you do is make a design and post it and just keep building off that. In fact, I had just been approved for 500 designs when I listed the business for sale. My previous limit was about 100, so I was just working within those bounds. But people make thousands of dollars every month on Amazon merch with some effort, and they do that with a 500 design account, and it's completely passive once you've submitted the designs. So
thank you so much for taking the time today, Isaiah. I know this went a little past our scheduled appointment, so thank you for chatting with me today.
Oh, no, thank you. Appreciate it.
If you're watching this on YouTube and want more information, the link will be below the video that will take you to this marketplace listing. If you're watching this on the listing site and want more information, become a depositor today. All you have to do is click the button, make a refundable deposit, and you'll be given everything you need to review this business. Have a great day.